The first time that woman came stomping up my gravel driveway, waving a clipboard like it was a weapon, I thought maybe she was lost. I was sitting on the porch cleaning my dad's old fishing rods, minding my own business, when she started yelling about unregistered modifications. I remember blinking a few times, thinking, what the hell is she talking about? Then she rattled my gate like she expected it to open out of fear. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just some nosy neighbor. This was someone drunk on a little bit of power and a whole lot of ego. I stood up slow, wiped my hands on a rag, and said, "Can I help you, ma'am?" She glared through the bars like I was hiding contraband. "Yes, I'm here to conduct an HOA inspection," she said, voice clipped and righteous. I looked down at the private property sign, big enough to see from the moon, then back at her name tag that said, President, like it was a royal title. "You're mistaken," I said. "This cabin's not part of your HOA. It's been private land since the 60s. Her lips pinched tight like she'd bitten into a lemon. "All properties within Meadow Lake Ridge fall under my jurisdiction," she snapped. My jurisdiction. The way she said it made it sound like she ruled a kingdom instead of a cul-de-sac. My dog Ranger growled low behind me, and I couldn't blame him. The air was tense enough to cut. "Step back, ma'am," I told her, "or I'll have to call the sheriff." "Call him," she said, chin high. So I did. When Sheriff Martin's cruiser rolled up dust swirling around the tires, I swear the man looked like he'd seen this movie before. "Evelyn," he said, "what are you doing here again?" She pointed at me like she'd caught a criminal. "He's refusing inspection. He's in violation of Section 14B. Martin rubbed his temples and sighed. "Evelyn, this cabin's outside the HOA boundaries. You know that." Her face turned a color somewhere between cherry and fury. "He's disturbing community harmony," she yelled. I almost laughed out loud. Harmony? I was cleaning fishing rods. She took one step back but jabbed her pen at me. "You'll regret this. I'll call code enforcement. I'll make sure you can't even hang a flag without permission." Martin finally lost his patience and told her to get back in her car. When she drove off gravel spitting from her tires, he looked at me and said, "You always find the best neighbors, huh?" That night, sitting on the porch, I looked at my dad's old flag fluttering in the wind and thought about what he used to say. A man's land is his peace. He'd built this cabin after Vietnam with his own two hands, just to have somewhere quiet where no one could tell him what to do. And here I was, fighting the same damn battle he thought he'd left behind. The next morning, I found a letter taped to my gate. Notice of violation, unauthorized structure. I laughed so hard, Ranger barked at me. The only unauthorized structure was my porch railing, which hadn't been painted in a decade. That's when it hit me this wasn't about rules. It was about control. So instead of yelling, I got smart. I went to the county office and pulled every record tied to this property. Turns out my grandfather bought this land before Meadow Lake Ridge even existed. The HOA line stops 100 yards short of my gate. So I started keeping records, photos, videos, letters, timestamps, every little thing, because I knew Evelyn wasn't done. Sure enough, the next week she showed up again, this time with 2 board members and a cameraman announcing she was documenting violations. I walked up to the fence, calm as ever. "Morning," I said. "Can I help you record something factual for once?" One of her lackeys looked ready to bolt, but she just smiled that fake politician smile. "We're ensuring compliance." I pointed at the boundary marker at her feet. "You're standing on private land, ma'am." Her jaw twitched, and the cameraman lowered the phone. "Smile," I said. "You're trespassing." That night I uploaded the footage to the cloud and called an old friend, Rachel, a local journalist who'd built her career exposing small-town corruption. I told her everything. She didn't promise anything, just said, "Let me dig." A few days later, Evelyn escalated. I woke up to find orange cones blocking my driveway, a sign reading, Maintenance area access restricted. When Martin came by, he laughed so hard he nearly cried. She impersonated county authority, he said. That's criminal, not stupid. But she still wasn't finished. That night, my motion lights went off. Ranger growled low and dangerous. I checked the cameras, and there she was again, creeping along the fence line with a flashlight and two of her loyal board members. I hit record and called Martin. He arrived in minutes, sirens off, but lights flashing red and blue across the trees. Evelyn, he called out. She jumped like a kid caught stealing cookies. Sheriff, thank God you're here, she said. He's hiding unapproved structures. Martin raised an eyebrow. At 2 a.m, one of her cronies muttered something about verifying boundaries, and Martin just shook his head. You're trespassing, he said flatly. Bylaws don't override the law. The silence that followed was pure gold. Even the wind stopped. She stammered, You can't arrest me for doing my duty. Martin sighed. No, but I can file a report for harassment. He turned to me. You pressing charges? I smiled. Not yet. But I'll take that report. She stormed off, face pale as paper, while her followers scrambled behind her. By morning, someone had posted a video of the whole thing on the neighborhood forum. HOA president caught trespassing on veterans' property. Comments exploded. Some defended her, most didn't. For once, the neighborhood started seeing the truth. Then Rachel called. You won't believe this, she said. She's been funneling HOA maintenance money to her nephew's landscaping company. I laughed. You writing the story? Oh, I'm writing it, she said. When the article dropped, it was like setting off fireworks in a quiet town. Headline read, HOA president under fire for harassment and forgery allegations. People came out of the woodwork sharing stories. She'd find them for Christmas lights, for mailbox colors, even for planting sunflowers. The board held an emergency meeting, and I showed up with my folder of evidence. Evelyn stood up front, trying to sound calm, but her voice trembled. We're here to discuss a homeowner's repeated violations, she said. I walked up, placed my property deed on the table, and said, You mean the homeowner who isn't in your HOA? The room went dead quiet. Martin was there too, confirming everything in his report. Evelyn tried to interrupt, shouting, He doesn't belong here, and that was it. The crowd turned. The board voted on the spot to remove her as president. She grabbed her binder, muttering threats, and stormed out to the sound of slow, steady applause. A week later, she tried to appeal, even filed a complaint saying I'd defamed her. It got dismissed in days. Then came the real kicker. County auditors discovered thousands missing from the HOA budget. Fake contracts, fake invoices, all leading back to her family. She packed up her pastel kingdom and fled town before charges were filed. Now the neighborhood's quiet again. We've got a new president, a retired school teacher named Linda, and for the first time, the meetings actually feel like neighbors talking instead of subjects being scolded. Folks laugh, share ideas, even help each other out. Every time someone thanks me, I tell them it wasn't about revenge. It was about peace. Real peace, the kind my father built this place for. Last week, Martin dropped off a newspaper. Front page. Former HOA president, under investigation for financial misconduct. There was a photo of Evelyn hiding her face behind her sunglasses as they escorted her out of the county office. I looked at it for a long time, then set it down and walked out to the porch. The flag Dad left still waved in the wind, the same one that's seen every storm pass. Ranger lay beside me, tail thumping softly, the lake calm again. I raised my coffee and said quietly, We did it, Dad. We stood tall. And now I'll ask you, what would you have done? Would you have fought back or just let the HOA win? Drop your thoughts below. Tell me where you're watching from, and if you've ever had a neighbor who thought they ruled the world. I read every comment, and trust me, I've got plenty more stories where this came from.